What made you realize there was something off about your friend? So I met them as an already married couple and everything seemed fine until she went into labor at my house. It was her second child, so she knew it was early labor and decided to rest on our couch while we hung out. We were going to watch her older child when she went to the hospital anyway, and our house is 30 minutes closer to the hospital, so it made sense for the three of them to hang around our house until go time. That's when my husband and I started noticing her husband's strange behavior. He was a very charming guy and a very good father to his son, but he started making fun of his wife during contractions. He would roll his eyes and tell her to shut up if she even made the slightest groan. He joked that she was a pea and was overreacting. The whole situation got so awkward that my husband insisted he go home to get their hospital bags, just to give the poor woman a break from her crappy husband. A few months after the birth of her second child, he hit his wife with his car while she physically tried to block him from leaving during an argument. He disappeared for days and didn't come home until she proved to him that she hadn't gone to the hospital or contacted the police. Thus began systematic abuse that continued for 2 more years, and she hid from me like an expert. He would hurt her and then threaten to withhold money for groceries if she said anything to anyone. I knew he was a dong, and I knew she often needed me to pick her up to get food from food pantries because he was bad with money, but I had no idea he was hurting her. She finally left him after he threw her through a window while she was 8 months pregnant with their third child. It just kept getting worse and worse. Worst one right here. He had a full-on, toddler-level temper tantrum twice at a group game night. Once because during a trivia question he couldn't remember the planets in the solar system. Then, in the same night, he got pissy playing Uno, threw his cards down and stormed out. We all kind of looked at each other and at our friend. That was when we knew he was off. My friends and I were all in our mid-20s and he was over 30, so it was definitely not acceptable behavior. A couple weeks later was my friend's birthday, so we all went out for the night and ended up at our neighborhood bar. He threw another temper tantrum. I think it was over scoring for darts or something equally ridiculous. Stormed out and peeled away in his car, leaving us with no ride home. This was pre-Uber Lyft and none of us wanted to spend the money on a taxi, so we sobered up on the 2-mile walk back to my friend's house. Thankfully, she broke up with him not long after. She is now with a wonderful guy who not only knows the planets of the solar system, but also treats her a lot better. He tried to feel me up at her birthday party. I tried to tell her, but she took his side. We're no longer friends. Same. My childhood best friend introduced me to her BF. They hug. He makes the "I wanna lick your pee" sign, the finger V with a tongue waving through it, over her shoulder. I told her about it and she got mad at me. They ended up breaking up because he was cheating. When she went off on us for arranging a campsite at another friend's wedding, they got married on a 20-acre farm, and the reception was on site. Instead of agreeing to split a hotel room, with 1 bed, between 8 people, she got the bed. The rest of us would sleep on the floor. Yeah, no. My best friend's ex-boyfriend walked like he was trying to intimidate people, and every time he asked someone a question about someone's opinion, "Hey, what do you think of that statue? Do you like sauerkraut?" He'd respond to their answer with, "I had a feeling you were going to say that." It seems harmless, but it was every single time, and if you called him out on it, you couldn't possibly have known I was allergic to X. He lashed out in anger. Every time she tried to break up with him, he cornered her and wouldn't let her leave the room until she relented, and even their couple's therapist thought she should leave him for her own safety after 2 or 3 sessions. He would wait for her shift to end just sitting in his car in the parking lot, and if she didn't come out fast enough he'd storm into the building in a fury. But if she came out on time he'd just leave. He wasn't there to pick her up, just to monitor her, which he also did through a GPS tracker he put in her car. She now has a restraining order and has moved twice. He broke into her apartment with a gun while she was deep asleep and just snuggled up behind her with the gun between them as if it was his dong. And that was how she woke up. There are other things, but this is getting long. Was best friends with a dude. I'm a lady. Had been for a few years. Never any chemistry or anything like that. At least on my end. He gets out of a long-term relationship. Starts dating around. He'd often introduce me to these ladies as sort of a barometer of whether or not he thought they were a good match. But one weekend he invited a girl out with our group. She's super standoffish, won't smile, clearly isn't having a good time. I try to talk to her, get to know her, Try to tell her about my friend and how great he is. She acts like I'm not there. Might as well have been the wallpaper. A month later I'm on a date and we run into them. Remember, I am also on a date with a man. As they are leaving they come over to say hello. She seems equally unhappy to be alive. I introduce my dude. The three of us chat for a minute while she stands there. I jokingly tug at his shirt in a "you old dog" kind of way. She storms out of the restaurant. Both dudes are confused. Was not a flirty touch of any kind. More like a bro touch. Anyway, next day at work, I work with this guy. He comes up to me and says, "Hey, you can't do stuff like that. She's really damaged. Has jealousy issues. Doesn't trust men." I apologize profusely because I didn't realize I had done anything wrong. Even asked my date and he was baffled as well. This friend had an emergency key to my house in case I ever got locked out. He returned it a week later, citing something about what if you call at 2 AM. But isn't that the point? Isn't that what best friends do? Help each other in times of need? Flash forward a few months in. He refuses to speak to me. Again, we work together. Won't look me in the eye. He slowly gives up other relationships, male and female. After dating the girl for 6 months, they get engaged. Now married. No idea how it's going or if he's happy. I ended up moving and haven't spoken to him since. Makes me really sad to see people give up who they are for a relationship. He constantly made fake social media accounts to try and get her to cheat on him. He started attending my college at 26, which isn't strange at all, but he insisted on living in the dorms for 3 years. It's not like we're a college town with expensive faraway shitty off-campus housing. He just liked the ego boost of being around kids 8+ years younger than him. My friend was 19 when they started dating. Another thing was that he was a full-time stand-up comedian with his own YouTube channel. He mostly did open mic events at bars, but couldn't stand watching other people on stage perform if it wasn't him. He would sit and seethe when my friend told him she didn't want to leave when watching other people perform. But the creepiest moment was undoubtedly when my friend asked me if my boyfriend ever watched Bestiality P. Taken aback, I said frick no and told her that'd be a major deal breaker for me if he did. She said oh. BF told me that every guy watches it. Thankfully they broke up last week and I couldn't be more proud or happy for her. A bit of background. This was a good friend of ours and previous roommate. At this point he'd moved out about a year and a half prior and we'd only had internet contact with him since. It was a beat up of old friends when we went to visit home. This was the first time we, wife and I, met his newest girlfriend after his previous long-term relationship ended. She wasn't so bad. Kind of giggling and goofy for him since he's a bit more serious, but fine. They seemed happy. We were out for dinner and her and my wife go off to the bathroom. I thought this was odd, since my wife is kind of a tomboy and doesn't do the whole girls go to the bathroom to do their makeup and gossip thing. But I find out later friends so invited her to ask her a few questions about our friend. Well, after about 20 minutes went by, I realized they weren't back yet. We were both tipsy and engaged in conversation and time got away. This was a small gathering of a few couples, and one of HTE other girls goes to check on them. Come to find out, friend so basically had my wife cornered in the bathroom, crying in her face and demanding to know why our friend had a secret crush on my wife and why he wouldn't admit it to her. After getting the recap from my wife, she said she had no clue if the girl was going to attack her or molest her since a few times she was apparently completely against her to the wall. Apparently it was a mixture of my wife wanting to calm her down, and also a little afraid since she was half this girl's size and legitimately couldn't get past her that caused the long drawn out issue. Luckily the person going to check on them snapped the girl out of it and diffused the situation. Very bizarre. We've seen her one time since, not exactly on purpose, and she acts like the whole thing didn't happen. She apparently has no history of mental illness, but I have no clue beyond that. It's always the whole and it was never mentioned again parts of these that are the weirdest for me. She can't just pretend that didn't happen. Long story. Best friend was adopted as a kid. Adoptive parents killed in a car accident when he was 11. He was in the back seat. He survived. Became even better mates. Same schools and college. He decided he was gonna marry this girl. I was happy for him but I had never met her as I lived out of the country at the time. So wedding is in 6 months. I fly down to see family and end up going with my other girlfriend and some friends, and we all meet up at a local restaurant. Meet his fiancée. She seems nice and welcoming. She flirts subtly with me, nothing major, but talks about my appearance quite a bit in front of her fiancé. I think nothing much of it. Later in the evening I go to the bathroom. I end up walking to a cubicle, and as I enter she jumps in front of me and closes the door with me inside. I ask her what she's doing. Her response is anything I want. I immediately push her out, sit down, and in shock have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I go back to the table. I'm quiet. I realize that I should tell or say something to him. I pull him outside and tell him what happened. He is too in shock. Ruins the whole evening, and next day I flew back to my hometown with my girlfriend to see my family. We don't speak for months until the wedding. I'm his best man. Whole family was off to me. Bride hated me. We don't speak anymore, but I know what happened and friends support my decision to tell him. He claims she says it was all a misunderstanding due to being drunk. I know what I saw. I know what happened. I know what she was trying to do. I feel bad because I have probably lost a friend, but my conscience is clear. Good luck, Philip. Oh boy, he showed abusive and manipulating behavior from day one. But it was fine because she loved him and she could change him. A year later he had cheated at least once and was constantly threatening to kill himself if she left him. It was fine though because really he loved her but didn't know how to express it. Year 2 and he controlled her Facebook and phone, and he decided who she could and couldn't talk to. It was romantic though because he just really cared about her. Year 3 and he cheated at least 4 times, and he'd also pretended to kill himself and break up with her multiple times each. After one of which she tried to kill herself. We had a whole intervention thing while she was in the hospital and she agreed to leave him. 2 weeks later they were back together. He spent $800 on my birthday gift. How could he not love me? Oh yeah, and I can't talk to you anymore, squeaker pop, because he says I shouldn't. Still with him. The first time we met her was at a bar. My BF and I arrived early, so we found a Scrabble board on the game shelf and started playing. When my friend and his so got there, literally before even introducing herself, the so looked at our Scrabble board and said, "Wow, that's a lot of small words. Are you guys stupid?" My BF and I were so stunned that we kinda just ignored the comment. Was she joking? Anyway, she, and surprisingly, turned out to be a psychotic ultrabic. She sounds like a freaking casual too. Any real Scrabble player knows it's not about the length of the word. It's all about getting QI across and down with that Q on a triple letter.
Man, I sure do love great content. And I'm working on some of that over at Updoot, man. So you should go there right now. Go there. Go if you aren't subscribed to this channel, subscribe. Then go over to Updoot, man. Right there. You click right there. You click right there. You better do it. So help me, you better go over there. Because you deserve something good. I put my heart and soul into this stuff, man. You don't even understand. No pressure.